RDL TYT Sports on this Friday. I am Rick Strom. That is Ryan Davis. Follow him on Instagram at Ryan Davis Comedy, and of course Jayar Jackson. So we jump right into it. JJ Reddick on Pardon My Take on Barstool Sports' podcast network. And now we are hearing more and more about why the Clippers were just sheer disappointments. Have a listen, then we'll discuss.
It was weird because separately, everybody was really cool with each other. Off the court, everybody sort of got along. And then there was just so much like pettiness. It's weird to think what we had the potential to accomplish and what ultimately derailed that was pettiness. Like Donald Trump level pettiness.
Right.
I think the biggest problem was passive aggressiveness. I would rather a guy actually blow up at a teammate. Getting stuff out in the open is healthier than sort of holding it in and just whispering things in corners. We were just really passive aggressive with each other. It wasn't like, oh, I hate this guy. It was just like passive aggressive bullshit.
So, nice ending right there. So it depends on who you ask, obviously. So if we could skip ahead to Matt Barnes, who we both said before we went on, we got to have him on the show because he'll give us probably anything on the Clippers topic. He blamed it on egos. He was like, egos. That's all that it was. It was the egotistical nature of our team. As we go through their seasons and how they performed in the playoffs from 2017 all the way to 2011 in the CP3, Blake Griffin, and even DeAndre Jordan era, no shade thrown at him, just fitting it in the graphic. They were sheer disappointments. But what was it? Could you see the pettiness? Could you see the egos? In both of your guys' opinions, what do you think it was?
Oh, it was 100% egos. For me, there's no way you could have like 3 all-stars, one of which is defensive player of the year, one of them is the best pure point guard in the league.
Right.
And then you have a shooter in JJ Reddick, one of the all-time best shooters in NBA history.
And
you
most
have
hateable Duke players ever.
Yeah, and I'm a Duke fan.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what's funny? I'm a Duke fan that doesn't like JJ Reddick, but because he shot us out of a title. I don't even want to get into it.
Clearly not. Is he more hateable than Grayson Allen?
That's what I was gonna go next.
Grayson got a title, so
right.
You know it's hard to.
What about Paulus?
Oh yeah, I don't like Paulus. He should have played football. I don't know why he wasted our time with that.
But he wasn't good at Syracuse, though, right?
Well, he was the #1 quarterback coming out of high school.
Was he really?
And he went to
I
Duke to
didn't
play.
know that.
So he spent 3 years wasting our backcourt, and then he went to Syracuse to go on to be a failure at quarterback at Syracuse. So it was, shout out to Paulus.
And shout out to Donovan McNabb for not being a failure at quarterback at Syracuse.
Listen, but nah, man, I think egos is and then you have a coach like Doc Rivers who has a championship, and you can't get a team that. It's funny that people talk about teams having stacked teams. That team was stacked.
They were stacked.
And they couldn't even, you see on the graphic that they got beat in the first round back-to-back years with 50-something wins.
Yeah, if the usual, talk down team in LA suddenly becomes the talked about team, and if people start forgetting, not forgetting completely, but start talking about how the Lakers aren't really much of anything, you have something going there. Now, I think, JJ Reddick talking about the Eagles, I think did give some light, because when you see the breakdowns and the destruction that happened at the end of those games a lot of times, it could have been because they weren't really together mentally, and that goes to egos. I was always wondering, I said, what is it that makes them so nervous right now? What has them shook? I don't know, I never knew what it was, but this makes sense.
Well, they say Chris Paul is hard to play with because he's a general. I think he likes to yell and get in people's face, and everybody isn't built for that. Especially if you have an ego.
All of the greats.
Yeah, hard to play
with. They're all hard to play with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They all are.
Jordan, Kobe, I'm not trying to throw Chris Paul in there, but just from the standpoint of demanding a lot out of your teammates. LeBron is in there too. And I think it was, who was it Channing Frye was like, oh, these Lakers players better get ready because they're not going to know what's hitting them because he demands a lot. Instead of going to parties in LA, you're going to go to
Seems
sleep.
like a fun guy. But not when he's out there playing.
But that's okay, right? To demand a lot.
And I'll add one more name to the list. My good friend Gary Payton, we're really good friends.
Oh, man.
He told me too, I asked him directly, because we talked and we're really good friends. And he told me, he goes, see, sometimes he was hard to play with. He admitted too, but he said, because I expected a lot. He goes, but you know what? You build your guys back up. That's the way it works with these types of guys.
Look, how I see it is, we as an NBA society do not like Chris Paul until he wins a championship, and then everything is validated. That's all that it takes. Think about it in your own scenario. Hey, Chris Paul can't get to the finals. Or all we heard, can't get to the Western Conference Finals, can't do it. Finally did it, was a hamstring and a quarter away from doing it against Golden State.
Goodness gracious.
Seriously.
Yeah, you think about the greats who didn't win a championship. Reggie Miller, Charles Barkley gets it the most of anybody.
Well, he gets it because he's on there with Shaq. and Shaq is just there.
But it ain't that. He's with Kenny, and Kenny has 2 as a role player.
But Shaq, when they're at the Staples Center, right, he'll be like, don't you see what I have behind you? Yeah. Don't you see that? I have those rings. Kiss my rings. And Charles will just have to take it over and over and over again.
He got it from Jordan, too, when they used to be friends. So it's
No, they still are. Yeah. And he still hears it.
Who's still friends?
Jordan and Barkley.
That's not what I heard, but...
What'd you hear?
That he had issues after he criticized his ownership approach with the Bobcats. No, Jordan was like, no, I don't like that.
Really?
Barkley has said this. He said it on some interviews. He goes, yeah, he says disappointing. We're not really cool anymore. This was years ago, but maybe something has changed since then. That's last I heard.
That's what
Michael
I thought
Jordan
I heard.
is an interesting character, man.
How so?
Because if Charles Barkley, criticized you as an owner, right? And ever since you've been an owner, the teams have been bad. Charles is the problem. What Charles said is the problem.
Yeah.
I'm a Hornets fan. I can't stand Michael Jordan. I want him to sell the team so bad.
Well, yeah, I could see that. What he should be is like special counsel, right? Where he has just like some BS title of being like, hey, this guy is special counsel to the owner.
None of the stars even want to come play for him. Yeah. I thought that would be the benefit.
That's not him, though. Can we be fair? I know you're from North Carolina. Let's be fair. Players want to go to like warm weather climates. And
you ever been to North Carolina?
Charlotte's not that bad.
Pretty warm.
Hang on. You weren't allowing my second point, which is the most important. The prestigious franchises of the NBA. That's where a lot of these guys want to go.
Miami wasn't prestigious.
I don't see it with the Hornets.
They made Miami prestigious. They went down there and did. You can do the same to Charlotte.
Do you know what you could get for $4.99? Maybe 1 pack of Skittles. You know what's better? A lot of content. So download the TYT app, available on iOS and Android.